I used to think that this ancient healing method was mumbo jumbo magic, absolute nonsense, until I learned this. It has scientific backing and is the basis of the diet of the longest living people in the world. Now, I'm not going to go right into the concepts because then you're probably going to think that this is mumbo jumbo magic nonsense as well. So today I want to talk about the history and the connection that is within this basis of the longevity diet. Okay, so let's get started with the start. The start is TCM. Have you heard of TCM? I think a lot of people have heard of TCM. It stands for Traditional Chinese Medicine. A lot of people have heard the word and they imagine just healing with herbs. You go to this dark Chinese clinic and there's drawers all behind them and they have herbs in each drawer, and then they evaluate you, take out herbs and put them on a scale and cut them up and put them in paper, and the whole concept is very, very cool. And they're not going out of business, so obviously something's working, but that's what we see as traditional Chinese medicine because it's not a part of Western culture, so we really don't know much more than that. But this is important if you want to learn about the basis of the longevity diet. So we have TCM. It is traditional Chinese medicine. Now, what started traditional Chinese medicine? What was the catalyst? What made it so that humans one day humans were just like, these herbs are healing me and doing this and this and that? I'm actually going to talk not about herbs. I'm going to talk about rice. Okay, so here's a story. Let me tell you a story first. One time, someone in China was eating rice and they ate the rice and they left some over and they just left it where it was. They left it for too long, and when they went back, they saw that the rice had fermented, and it fermented into a cloudy, clear liquid. And for some odd reason, they decided to drink this liquid, this mysterious liquid, and they found what we know as alcohol today. So someone accidentally made alcohol from rice. And I'm not saying this is the first discovery of alcohol. There's a lot of debate about that, but one of the first catalysts of traditional Chinese medicine was alcohol, because when they drank this alcohol, they noticed that their body would warm up even in the cold winter. And if they had stomach pains or stomach illnesses or stomach ailments, whatever it may be, they noticed that if they drank the alcohol, it would help some of them. So they found that this mysterious liquid to act as medicine. Now, when you think people found alcohol in the very beginning, you think that they were getting drunk and partying with their friends and drinking their worries away. No, they were drinking just little amounts and finding that it was helping their illness or whatever was wrong with them. So it was found that alcohol is medicine. It was medicine. And since it was medicine, and a very powerful medicine, I don't know if you've ever taken a shot before, but it was also considered a gift of honor. All right, I'm not making this up. I have a textbook in Japanese. So there's a story of a princess in China in the year 2005 to 2198. In between that period, a princess gifted the king alcohol, which was a big deal. All right, you pick your presents carefully back then, and especially if you're going to give it to the king. So she gifted him alcohol. That showed how important this medicine was. So it was a gift of honor, and then it was also considered medicine of God, or medicine of the gods. So alcohol was actually very important, and it was one of the first medicines discovered that created the snowball that we have today of traditional Chinese medicine. Now, it's not the only one. I say it's one of the catalysts. Another one, a very common one, is licorice root. But anyway, alcohol was one of the first. And I say this because my specialty is longevity. And within the longevity sector, people ask me what I think about drinking. And I say that these long-living people, where I live, they drink alcohol. Not all of them, but a lot of them drink alcohol. And people are starting to say today, oh, it's considered a carcinogen, or causes a lot of problems, this and that. It decreases your lifespan. And it's not always the case, because they drink in moderation, first of all. And two, if alcohol is medicine, let me give you an example. We have a painkiller, right? In America, Tylenol is a very popular painkiller. you're supposed to take 2 painkillers. So you give 2 painkillers to a person. If they start taking 30 or 40, then they obviously, almost die, overdose, or get very, very sick. Do you blame the painkiller or the person that's over consuming it? Okay, so there are dosages with everything if we're going to consider it medicine. So with alcohol, of course, there's small, moderate doses that you take if you want it to act like medicine. Now, you don't take alcohol every day, all day, no matter what. You only take it when you have a certain ailment. So that's why I say alcohol is medicine, or alcohol is related to longevity as long as you consume it in moderation. Okay? Now, that is the start of TCM. But here, if you Google TCM, you're going to find a lot of info on Google, like a lot of info on TCM. But if you type TJM, okay, you're going to find a lot less info, in English at least, very interestingly enough. TJM stands for Traditional Japanese Medicine, okay? So we have Traditional Chinese Medicine, we have Traditional Japanese Medicine. Now, what is Traditional Japanese Medicine? It's very similar to Traditional Chinese Medicine. But I don't want to forget as I go along that it is food and herbs. So it's both of them, okay? So all these traditional Asian medicines are food and herbs. But TJM, the Japanese version, came in the 6th century, around the 6th century. Scholars and Buddhist monks came to Japan and brought the concepts of TCM, right? So not just scholarly, nerdy people. Buddhist monks brought in this traditional Chinese medicine, this method of healing, into Japan. So that's why we have TJM even today, thanks to a lot of Buddhist monks, actually. Now, it is still alive and well today. And a lot of people don't know about this because this is Japan. For some reason you don't hear about it. But for example, let me give you an example to show you why it is alive and well and accepted among the population today. Let's say you have hay fever. Let's say you have seasonal allergies. You go to any clinic here in Japan, just a regular clinic with a regular doctor, not a holistic, not any of that, just regular doctor at the hospital. And you have hay fever, he's going to give you antihistamines, right? Or nasal steroid spray, stuff like that, right? That's regular medicine. But in Japan, the doctor will say to you, do you also want kampo? He'll give you that, like, do you want kampo or not? It's up to you. It's literally the equivalent of like $3. It's like 400, 500 yen, maybe not even. It's super cheap, as well as your regular medicine as well. And so he gives you the option of having holistic medicine. Do you want holistic medicine with your regular medicine? Okay, yeah, sure. And you go to the pharmacy, and the pharmacy gives you your regular medicine and kampo, or the traditional Japanese medicine that's based off of traditional Chinese medicine. So it is alive and well today. If you live in Japan and gone to a clinic, you've probably gotten kampo. Kampo, and it doesn't look like herbs in a mysterious bag. It is manufactured, it is very strict, it's very regulated, and the majority of it is made by one company. And it will have a number. It won't have the herb name because it gets very confusing and there's a lot of herbs. There's a lot of combinations and stuff, so it just has a number, making it easy for a patient here to understand. So if you get kampo number 51, it'll be dehydrated herbs, and you just pop it in your mouth. So these concepts are alive and well today, but what is the difference between TCM and TJM? So I say it is like, medicine-wise, it's the same language, but Japan has put its accent onto it, okay? So they're not literally speaking the same language, but medicine theory-wise, it's the same language, but Japan has put its twist, its accent on it. So it still uses the herbs and the concepts from China, but it will grow things here. It will use some Japanese herbs. It will use Japanese methods and way of thinking, and has developed its own TJM. So they're the same in a sense, but different countries with different accents, okay? So, doesn't end there though. All right, so we have this, and I wrote it very weirdly because it looks like I wrote some guy's name, Tom, T-O-M, but T-O-M. So we have TCM, TJM, and then we have T-O-M. All right, it's not Tom. It is Traditional Okinawan Medicine. Now, if you Google these, you'll find something. If you Google TOM, you're not going to find anything, because this is a dying hidden knowledge that I have stumbled upon. And I created this word in English because probably no English speakers know about TOM. But it's very common in Okinawa. So we have traditional Okinawan medicine. We have TOM. Now let me tell you how it connects to all of this. First, we have the kingdom. Did you know that Okinawa, Japan, Okinawa is a small island, that's where I am. That's the basis of today's story. Used to be a kingdom. It used to be called the Ryukyu Kingdom. Okay, it wasn't called Okinawa, it was called the Ryukyu Kingdom. And now a kingdom has a king and queen, right? So a kingdom has king and queen. And let me tell you, the Ryukyu Kingdom, as well as Okinawa today, had its own culture and its own language, and it was essentially its own country. So it had its own style of pottery, still does, its own style of pottery. It had its own style of dressing. Commonly you'll see also, it kind of looks like a kimono, but it's not a kimono, it's Okinawan dress called yuzo. It had its own language, the Okinawan language, which is a dying language today. And it used to trade with the surrounding countries because it wasn't owned by Japan or China or America. It was its own country and freely traded with the surrounding countries and did import and export as well. So we have this kingdom, this thriving kingdom. We have the king and queen. Now the king and queen, just like in any country, are extremely important. They're the top of the top, okay? So we want to make sure the king and queen are as healthy as possible. And they also want to be super healthy and super beautiful and super strong and all that. So the king and queen ate a very strict diet, a very, very balanced diet. I'll explain what balance means in a little bit, but they ate a very good diet. It's even said that the queen was super into anti-aging, and it was said that even in her 80s and 90s, she looked like she was in her 30s. If that's true or not, I don't know. But she was super into anti-aging, and the king, they were just super healthy. But how did they do this? What were they following? Because TJM is Japan. Okinawa was not Japan. But they were doing trade. They were going back and forth. But let me introduce you a guy named Moromizato. Moromizato is a very common last name here in Okinawa. So there was a guy named Moromizato. He was born into a family where his father was a doctor. And he wanted to follow in his father's footsteps. So he was a preteen when he decided this, which is pretty cool. I think he was 12 when he decided he wanted to be a doctor. And so in his early 20s, he started studying. And this is very common in both Japan and Okinawa for people to study abroad. It's literally the word in Japanese when you look up the history of Moromizato. He studied abroad to China, and when he was 23 years old. And he was very smart. And when he went to China, he studied traditional Chinese medicine. So he studied a lot. He was really smart. He was a very smart scholar. He published, I don't need to say published, but he wrote a lot of books, a lot of papers. He wrote down everything, okay? He was super smart. And he brought this information back to Okinawa and wrote it in a way that the Okinawans could understand, whether that be using Chinese characters, Japanese characters, or with the Okinawan language. He brought this back to the king and queen, and he had these methods, and he started healing them, feeding them, because it's not just herbs, it's food as well. And the king and queen were thriving. That was the basis of their diet. So Moromizato was doing really good at his job. And he was doing so good that, I have island written here, he was renamed, he was given a new last name of Tokashiki. So if you Google him in English, I don't think in English a lot of this info comes up, but if you Google him, you're gonna find his name was Tokashiki. All right. Tokashiki, which is the name of an island. Even today, there's Tokashiki Island here that you could visit. There's not a lot of people, there's not a lot going on, but anyway, it's an island. He was named after that, and only the most honorable of honorable people can be named after an island. That's how big of a deal he was. That's how well he was doing at healing the king and queen, keeping them healthy, keeping them balanced. So he was renamed Tokashiki, honorable doctor, absolutely fabulous. Now, we got these people. Oh, by the way, Tokashiki's great-great-great-great-grandson reached out to me last year, just by chance. He just emailed me about my work that I do here in Okinawa. And he was like, my great-great-great-grandfather is Tokashiki, the doctor. And I was like, this is fate. This is fate. It's not a coincidence. But anyway. So I have peasants down here. So we're connected to peasants, all right? So we have the king and queen, the top, we have an honorable doctor, we have, whoever's in the rankings of the royalty. But of course we have peasants. I'd be considered a peasant today, okay? We have peasants. So what do the peasants do? Think about celebrities today. We have your celebrity in whatever country you're in. What do people do? They look up to them, okay? When the celebrity promotes food or advertises something, we look up to them. We, do what they do, eat what they eat, listen to them. Not all of us, but, and the same goes for back then. So this is a working theory, a very strong theory by researchers here in Okinawa, is that the peasants would probably copy the king and queen. One, because they both have access to the same ingredients, whether it be grown on the island or imported from another country. And it was cool. They wanted to be like them. They wanted to eat like them. If they're eating a super healthy, balanced diet, then the peasants, if they put in some effort, are going to as well. Okay? And then the peasants are what we would call just the regular population of Okinawa today. So that was the base. So that's the connection of someone going to China and bringing back these concepts. But again, accent. Same accent thing here. So it wasn't just like TCM and TJM. It was TOM because Okinawa put its own accent into the traditional Chinese medicine. It used the herbs of the island, which some of them wouldn't find in China. It would use concepts and theories and things that were very Okinawan style. Now, why is this important about Okinawa, the Ryukyu Kingdom? Going to number 4. A lot of people have probably heard of the word blue zone. It's a very popular word. I don't like the word blue zone. I don't like the people that are associated with the blue zone thing, but that's a topic for another video. What I call it is the longevity island. All right, so it is a blue zone. A blue zone, if you don't know what a blue zone is an area where a large portion of the population are living healthy lives way past 90 years old. Not 100, it's 90. So, but people are living very long, healthy lives, walking and talking even at the age of 100. So that's a blue zone. And that's Okinawa. If you Google it, this information's everywhere. Okinawa is a longevity island. It was discovered in the 1970s by my sensei, my professor. And it went on to the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. And even today, we still have longevity Okinawans, but it's just not as good as it was in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But still, we still have the concepts, we still have the people, it's still a longevity island. Now, we have this history connecting, and we have the modern day. We found that the people are living a really long time. Why were they living a really long time? Now, there's ikigai, there's social connections, there's low stress lifestyle. All these things are very important. But their diet was actually very fascinating. So their diet, of course, contributed to the longevity. Now, diet is not #1 super important when it comes to longevity. If you're following me, you know that I say that. But I found the Okinawan diet to be very interesting and why I started going down this rabbit hole. Because it was very balanced. And I wrote this ahead of time. What do I mean by balanced? So the concept, if you know anything about TCM, TJM, TCM, is that it is based off of yin and yang, or being balanced in your body. One could also say moderation. So we have yin and yang. So what is yin and yang? And this is the magic part where it starts to sound like mumbo jumbo nonsense, but it's not, I promise you. We have yin and yang. We have wood, fire, earth, metal, water, which are connected to your organs, which is the liver, heart, spleen, lungs, and kidneys, which are connected to other organs, and so on and so forth. I looked at the Okinawan diet, I looked at the recipes, and I found that the recipes were perfectly balanced, the traditional recipes were perfectly balanced, and were balanced according to the season. Okay, absolutely fascinating. All right, they were super balanced. An example I have here is yomogi. Yomogi is mugwort. There's 2 types of mugworts. There's yomogi mugwort, and then there's Ryukyu mugwort. Yomogi was like the go-to for grandmas back in the day. It would heal a lot of things. For example, blood health. It would heal your blood health. Now, when I say blood health, I would say you'd had blood stagnation or blood buildup. I didn't mean it literally. It's based off of, well, sometimes literally, but TCM. Those are the words you would use, and you would know yomogi is good for blood health, so you would prescribe yomogi, and you would eat it as food, not just an herb. You could dry it, or you could eat it as food. because in traditional Okinawan medicine, they didn't use herbs as much. They did have herbs, but they mostly healed themselves with food. So that is why this Okinawan diet is so medicinally powerful and helped these people live very long lives when they didn't have doctors or hospitals back in the day. My professor, my sensei in the 1970s, came to Okinawa to help them build, which I think was their first hospital in Okinawa. So that just goes to show how few medical facilities were here up until 1950s, 60s. Now, I'm wrapping back to alcohol for a reason. Just stay with me till the end. There's a reason I'm wrapping back to alcohol. Alcohol, for example, there's something called in Okinawa awamori. It is Okinawan alcohol. It is only found in Okinawa, made with jasmine rice, because like I said, Okinawa would import from other countries, so they imported jasmine rice even way back then, because you can't grow rice in Okinawa, or it was hard to, and they made awamori, which is their special type of alcohol, and it was considered medicine in a sense. Like I said in the very beginning, alcohol is medicine. They would use it for the same reason, to heat up your body or help with your stomach or whatever it may be. And awamori pretty sure it was in the hot category. Most alcohols are in the hot category, except beer might be in the cold category. Check that. But it was in the hot. So again, this sounds like mumbo jumbo magic. We've got yin and yang, we've got wood, fire. Fire is my heart, wood is my liver. That sounds crazy. You don't take it literally though. And you also don't take hot and cold literally as well either. Every food, every herb has a category. Whether it be hot, cold, warm or cool, or, and this is your goal, neutral, or peace is the character. Excuse my ugly character. Hot, cold, warm or cool, or neutral, or to be in peace, and that's the goal that you want. So if you have cold inside your body, you could drink awamori, which is hot, as well as other things to bring you back to neutral, because you're over here. You have too much yang. Sorry, you have too much yin if you're cold. This is right here. And then you have too much yang if you're hot. So awamori was the yang, and if you have too much yin, you want to increase your yang, which is hot, to bring you to neutral. It's a little confusing. That's why the doctors specialized in this knowledge. Now, it's not literal. All right, I can't stress this enough. That's why it's not magic, because it's not literal. So if you look at the scientific backing of TCM, hot and cold, all of this, you'll see that they just didn't use words like, I don't know, they didn't do the scientific wording. They didn't have microscopes. They didn't do autopsies. They didn't know what to call these things, but somehow they knew, based off this connection of wood, fire, water, they knew what would heal the body depending on the symptoms, which I think is fascinating, and they did it for thousands of years. So why knock it now? So, alcohol was considered medicine also in Okinawa, and we see the same thing, gift of honor. So in Okinawa as well, if you go past a grave, you will see, you probably see like a cup kind of shaped like this, or sometimes they're like straight, but okay, that's my cup. And you'll see a clear liquid in it, and it looks like water. I think a lot of people would mistake it for water, but it's not water, it's alcohol. Don't taste it, don't try it, don't test it out. But it's alcohol because it is gift of honor. It is considered God's medicine, it is an offering for the god. And you see this concept in Okinawa as well. And not only in graves, if you go to an elderly Okinawan person's kitchen, you will see alcohol sitting there as well. They don't drink it, they just pour it in this cup, this little cup, sit it down, and it just sits there. It's the offering to the fire god. In Okinawa, they had the hinokan, fire god. And the fire god was in the kitchen. Now, it sounds like it's there because it's going to protect your kitchen from burning down. That was one reason. But the hinokan, or giving an offering to the god, was just to protect the house in general, which you can't look at modern houses. You have to look at traditional Okinawan houses where the kitchen was a majority of the house. It was usually the main part of the house, etc., etc. That's why all these offerings were in the kitchen. So we have alcohol, gift of honor, medicine, TCM, TJM, TOM. We have alcohol as well. Now, keep talking about alcohol. The reason being is because when someone asks me, what's the longevity diet? How can I eat healthily? And I say alcohol is part of the diet. People go, oh my God, how could you say that? I also sell sugar. Sugar. Let me write that down. Sugar is also a part of this longevity diet. Sugar is also medicine. It is in the book. It is in the category. Sugar is also medicine. Again, though, you don't overconsume it. You don't overconsume the alcohol and you don't overconsume the sugar. You eat it in moderation. You can either have it for fun sometimes, or if you have one of the ailments that the alcohol or sugar would help heal. That is how they viewed food back then. Okay, so today we're just going crazy and taking things out of our diet. Alcohol, I understand if you can't control yourself, but sugar is considered evil these days. Yes, because we're over-consuming it, one. And two, the Okinawan sugar was unrefined. It wasn't that super white, pure sugar. It was a sugar that was made using cows or ox and stone to grind the sugar cane. And you would just boil the sugarcane juice and you would get this deep, dark brown sugar that had vitamins and minerals in it. And it had such a deep, dark taste that it was actually hard to overconsume. So I sell this sugar, not selling it to you today, I'm just making a point, is that I sell sugar and people say, oh my God, you're a health specialist. How could you sell sugar? Well, it's a real sugar, and a sugar is a part of the Longevity Islands diet. Just don't overconsume it. It's that simple. So the point today is that, is this magic or real? It's real. It's real. It is a real diet. And everything in the medicinal book, everything is listed in here. I even have cheese, there's cream, there's whiskey, there's beer, there's sugar syrup, and then we have our fruits and vegetables and grains and carbs and all that. It's all in the book. Everything is a part of this Longevity Island diet, or everything is a part of a healing diet. You just need to eat the right thing at the right time. For example, eating seasonally. If you're sick, hot and cold, you can ask someone, like an advisor, either be TCM, TJM, or what I am, the TOM version, what to eat, what recipes to eat, and it will help heal you along with herbs. Now, I'm not saying don't go to a regular doctor. Please go to a regular doctor. But if they can't help you, or if you want to do some holistic healing as well, you can use these concepts to pick what food or herbs you're going to consume. Now, I am certified in this. It is a dying concept, all of this. TJM, TOM, not a lot of people know about this. But I know this from someone that you know. If you are interested in Okinawa and watched a Netflix documentary, right? If you haven't watched the Netflix documentary, please do. Netflix doc. This is really important. Running out of space. Netflix doc. How to Live to 100. The first episode. I actually hate this documentary. Okay, I hate. There's a lot about it I don't like, but. My teacher's in it. She's very famous. Her name is Miyaguni Sensei. It's written in the documentary, the Traditional Okinawan Diet expert. And she is an expert in all of this. TCM, TJM, TOM. She got all her certifications. She studied for decades probably. And she has her own school. And I went to her school and I got the certificate to be a specialist in TOM and TJMs based off the concepts of TCM. So everything was in Japanese, not Chinese. So I don't know the wording in Chinese when it comes to these concepts. I only know the Japanese. But anyway, so it's a real thing. There's a school, there's a certificate. There are people reaching out to her about the traditional diet. And she wants to tell people this, but it sounds like magic, mumbo jumbo nonsense, unless you know the truth behind it. So I first thought it was magic, and so I started looking into it and decided to take her class. And then I started connecting all the pieces together. Now, you can't just message an Okinawan and say, oh, do you know about this thing that I got? Do you know about Yakuzen? That's what this is it? Not Yakuza, it's Yakuzen. Yakuzen is healing with food. Healing with food is a Japanese word, Yakuzen. This is what TOM and TGM are connected to, Yakuzen. You can't ask an Okinawan person, do you know what Yakuzen is? It's the concepts and basis of the Okinawan diet. They're gonna probably not know what it is because it was just a part of their culture. And then only the doctors or specialists knew about this Yakuzen, and they would go to the doctor and figure out what was wrong with them here in their organs and then get a prescription. So it's a dying, unknown concept, and it's absolutely fascinating. So I hope this made sense on my board. I try to be as simple as possible and explain it. I'm gonna keep making videos, so please subscribe, and thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please ask in the comments below. Yutashiku.